In previous videos we've talked about aperture and how that affects the amount of light you let into your lens and also your depth of field. We've also talked about shutter speed and how that affects the amount of light that actually hits the sensor on the back end. Today we'll talk about ISO. ISO is a third setting in the trifecta that you adjust to give you the perfect exposure for your photograph. Now, what is ISO? Essentially, it's the sensitivity on the sensor in your camera. The lower the number, usually ISO 100, the less sensitive it is to picking up light. The higher the number, say 12,800 or 25,600, the more sensitive the sensor is to picking up light. However, due to the way that camera sensors are, the higher the number, the more noise you actually introduce into your picture. The lower the setting for ISO, the sharper, cleaner your picture will be. So if you have a higher ISO setting and it introduces noise into your picture, why would you want to use that? Well, as light fades, you need to bump up your ISO in order to compensate. The less light there is, the higher the ISO setting you will use. Now, you can also offset that to a certain degree by adjusting your shutter speed and aperture. We'll go into how all three combine in a separate video. For now, let's go take some pictures at different ISO settings and show you the results. So as an example of ISO, here's a series of 4 photographs that I've taken in manual mode on the camera. I've set the shutter speed to 1/125th of a second, 1/125th. The aperture is set at f2.8 and they will remain constant. The only thing that changes is the ISO. Now, as you know by now, ISO changes the sensitivity of the camera to light. So let's take a look at the first photograph. And here we are. The first picture, this is of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. And as you can see, it's very dark. This is shot at ISO 100. And as you can see, we're at 1/125th of a second and f2.8. So how do we correct this? Well, we increase the ISO level. Here's the same picture, now taken at ISO 400. As you can see, 1/125th, f2.8. And the picture's starting to come in. That's because we've increased the sensitivity on the sensor. We're basically allowing it, we're basically allowing it to record more light. Same picture again, this time we've jumped up to ISO 1600. And this time, as you'll see, the picture's just about perfect. And finally, the fourth picture, ISO 6400. This one's a bit overexposed, but 1/125th of a second, f2.8, and as you can see from the series of pictures starting at ISO 100, 400, 1600, 6400. The only thing we touched was the ISO setting, and the picture got brighter. Now the offset to that, when you zoom in, look at the noise in this picture. You can see it in the whites, but you can especially see it in the flag here. It's a little bit noisy. I mean, it's very passable. You can see it down here in this pattern as well. Looking at that picture is very passable, ISO 6400. But when you zoom in, there is a bit of noise. ISO 1600, less noise, as you can see. ISO 400, virtually no noise at all. Clean image. So as you increase the sensitivity of the sensor, you're gaining better light, but the offset to that is you're introducing more noise into your picture. And there you have it. You now know about ISO. ISO is just increasing the gain on the camera's sensor, which increases its sensitivity to light. The higher the number, the more sensitive the sensor is, therefore the brighter the picture gets, but by offset, the more noise you introduce into your picture. The lower number, the less sensitive the sensor is, the darker the picture is, but the cleaner, sharper your image will be. It's as simple as that. So if you followed my other two videos, the one on shutter speed and the one on aperture, you now know all the elements that make up the exposure triangle. What is an exposure triangle? We'll get into that in another video. As a quick preview, this is what we'll be talking about. How ISO, aperture and shutter speed all combine to give you the perfect setting for your photograph.